Uni is back for 2025.
Have you signed up? Yeah.
And at Sydney University, the Australasian Union of Jewish Students is reaching out to new arrivals.
So today we are having our O-Day store. We're creating a sense of community on campus for Jewish students and those who are interested in meeting Jewish students, especially Jewish students that didn't go to Jewish schools.
Palestine will be free!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
It's been nearly a year since pro-Palestinian encampments first appeared on Australian campuses, following the global student protest against Israel's bombardment of Gaza. For months, the camps persisted, testing the right to freedom of expression and the right of students to study in a safe place.
I never want to suggest that anyone's right to protest should be questioned or taken away, but the encampment created a lot of opportunities for really quite hateful things to be said.
Over the past few months, a joint federal committee has been investigating anti-Semitism on campuses around Australia and has now found many universities have allowed a toxic environment to escalate.
Universities can't just sweep this under the carpet. They can't just pretend that this doesn't exist.
Labor MP Josh Burns, whose electorate is home to the fire-bombed Melbourne synagogue, chaired the committee.
Frankly, there were the vast majority of universities and university leadership that didn't have the aptitude or the commitment to stamping out anti-Semitism on campus. They ignored Jewish students, they ignored the requests of Jewish staff and allowed too many incidents of anti-Semitism to go unchecked.
The ANU in particular came under fire during the inquiry for its handling of anti-Semitism complaints, including allegations of Nazi gestures during a student union meeting.
There was an investigation of them and it was found that that did not in fact had happened. So that was not in fact the finding of the disciplinary proceeding. It was not in fact found that there had been a Nazi salute or a Hitler moustache.
Really?
Yes.
So there wasn't it on film?
I've just had a look online again of the vision.
Thank you.
And
it's really upsetting, I understand.
Yeah. I'll get through that. I'm more concerned about the fact that the Vice-Chancellor just said that that was not a finding of a Nazi salute. I mean, what else was it?
Mr Burns, as we've said in multiple other appearances in Parliament, we don't actually discuss pieces of individual cases.
I'm still unaware of why ANU came to that conclusion. I didn't feel that their evidence given at the public hearing was credible, and the idea that you can have a superficial Nazi salute but not an actual Nazi salute to me seems ludicrous.
And as for this student, who publicly expressed support for Hamas,
I actually say that Hamas deserve our unconditional support, not because I agree with their strategy.
the ANU told the inquiry their expulsion was overturned on appeal.
ANU are setting standards that say that a student who openly supports a terrorist organisation can be allowed to study at their university.
The ANU told 7:30 it could not give further details on the two cases, but that it would never tolerate substantiated incidents of racism, discrimination or vilification. All claims are taken seriously and investigated thoroughly.
To tie up our discussion, as
the committee urged universities to be clearer when they handle complaints.
What are your thoughts on?
There was no transparency, no reporting, no accountability by the universities to show the outcome of those complaints. That needs to change.
There was division on the committee on how universities should define anti-Semitism. The Greens and independent members disagreed with the proposed definition used by the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, or IRA. They argued that definition is contested and are concerned it could restrict legitimate debate.
This idea of being able to put forward free and frank ideas, thoughtful ideas, academic research is fundamental to universities. But there is no evidence that the IRA definition has stifled that. None. And the IRA definition makes it very, very clear that you can criticise Israel in the same way you would any other democracy, and that cannot constitute anti-Semitism.
David Sluky from Monash University's Centre for Jewish Civilization is developing anti-Semitism training for some of the big universities. He wants the sector to go back to basics on identifying the problem.
What is anti-Semitism? Why are those Jewish staff and students in distress? And what are the ways in which your university can mitigate that sense of isolation? When a Jewish student comes to you and says that they're distressed about what they're experiencing or witnessing, it's not some political ploy to shut down people's free speech. It's something we ought to actually listen to and take seriously. And I think that's gotten lost a little bit in what's been seen as a kind of political issue rather than an issue that goes to the core of their identities.
The key bodies representing the universities were not available to be interviewed but have committed to taking action. At least one Vice-Chancellor was willing to acknowledge that the sector needs to do more.
I think that universities were perhaps surprised by the pace of the demonstrations and the rise of anti-Semitism. I know now, though, speaking to colleagues, it's front and centre for them.
Former Labor leader Bill Shorten has just begun his role as Vice-Chancellor at the University of Canberra. While his university did not appear at the inquiry, he wants his counterparts to take a tough stand on anti-Semitism.
I think that the universities of Australia need to unequivocally demonstrate that we're committed to the safety of all Australians who teach and work and come to our campuses, and that protection should extend to Australians of Jewish heritage. We can't deny there is a problem, because there is a problem. But I'm new on the block. I'm looking forward to talking to the other universities. But in my informal discussions, I think the universities of Australia are absolutely committed to making sure people are safe.
The committee has urged the universities to implement its recommendations this semester.
I'm hopeful that, this year will be different to last. I'm hopeful that universities will take meaningful action.